All right. Call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And do we need to do attendance or no?
Nope.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the minutes from our March 25th meeting.
You got that.
Okay, Jacob? Craig? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. So I just asked Courtney to go ahead and put same agenda as last month. The first thing that happened to be on there was the newsletter, and Joyce did get me a copy of the proposed newsletter, and I've made a few changes, and I'll give that to Joyce. But I did want to let everybody know, after speaking with the church again, that the event is a co-event for all 3 days, the 3rd through the 5th. It's not a 2-day village and a 3rd day on mission. Their whole project is an on-mission event, and ours is just a community. They don't care about getting, the kudos, and I'm sure we don't either. We just want a great community event, so they prefer it not be divisive and just run it as community cleanup days for those 3 days. So with that said, I do meet with them again tomorrow morning, both the pastor and Jeff, who I'm working with from the Nazarene Church weekly. And one thing I did tell them that the village was willing to do is provide bottled water on the town hall lawn. And they were very grateful for that, so we're gonna just make sure we have a couple coolers out there. I'll make sure they stay iced. But if anybody, can't work or also just wants to volunteer and donate a case or two of water, that sure is welcome. If not, I'll make sure that we get plenty of water too. But they have a lot of volunteers. They don't know day to day how many will be here, and we have people that will be volunteering as well. I believe the Madison Plains, some of the football players will be coming on Saturday, and
It's changed, so I have an update for that.
okay. And did you hear back from Westfall, Joyce?
No,
Okay.
not a word. I do know there's going to be some Westfall kids here because they go to the Nazarene Church.
Okay.
But no, I can't get anyone to respond, same as last year.
So my response is, as you know, I had sent it several times, copied you in emails. I know Jacob went to a board meeting and invited as well. I did send a final email back to them and the administration and staff stating that we do have a few football players that are going to be in attendance, and that there are going to be Westfall kids that are going to be there as well, students that do need community service hours.
Okay. Perfect. So, and is that on Saturday as well?
They're saying Sunday, so.
Okay.
The latest text was Sunday around noon to 4.
Okay. Well, Sunday is the day that it's a little bit shorter day. I don't have my notes in front of me, so we'll have to get
Let
back
me
with
know so I can let
them
them
on
know.
that. I believe they were wanting to start 9:30-ish on Sunday and then finish up when it was done, 12-ish, because then they did open, they're opening their doors to anybody who's volunteering to come eat lunch with them at the Nazarene Church, noon, 12:30. So that will be also something that's,
Since we've never really participated on a Sunday before, I don't know what your interest is going to be on that, but I can tell you now, I'm down for the count. I can't do any of the 3 days. I can't
that's fine.
walk by myself. So as far as donating water, again, you'd have to talk to Mr. Phillips because I can't do that either. He would have to manage that. We can do that? We'll do that. We'll get a case of water here or two.
That's fine. Like I told you all 2 weeks ago when we had a meeting, whatever you can do is appreciated, and if you can't, you can't. And if you can only help one day for 1 hour, so be it. Everybody help and do what they can, okay? And if you have any friends or clubs or anybody that wants to come help, you sure can invite them, okay? All right, so moving on from that, I did tell you again 2 weeks ago that I would go look at the nuisance report that we had, and the sheet that I provided to you is copies of the tags that went out today by Jack. There are 12 of them there. Several of them are trash in the yards and porches, and then there's also some boats, cars, and yards. So those are all, and if any of you have, want to talk about any of these specifically, we sure can. Up in the right-hand corner of each one is a number. So if you want to refer to number 2 and talk about that, you sure are welcome to. But we're going to try to handle them that way. I believe I went down the entire list, and we had eliminated a couple. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about these?
I do, if you don't mind. On the 102 for Jessica Hartley, I thought we said we were going to go right to an attorney letter for her.
Was this on number 2? you
Number
mean?
2.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what you had said prior to me coming in. I just know this is a fresh start for me, and I went by the list. I went to them all, looked at them, and I wrote tags. I know I'm trying to take Courtney and Misty out of this as much as possible and not bother them. Courtney did provide me with the cards and the ordinances. Misty provided me with some names just to go with the addresses. I guess I have a question in regard to that. Do we have to have a name on these, or can they just be resident with an address?
Well, I would suggest resident, because there are some people that rent that may not be the owner of the household.
Right. And a couple of those, I put it that way because that's the information I was given from the water office as far as the address. So maybe moving forward, and then I won't have to bother Misty at all either with names, is just put the resident with the right address. Does that sound
Yeah,
okay?
I guess I'm sort of trying to unpack then, how are you tracking these? Because as you know, I compile a list every single week of all open items that I have received and our staff has received that roll up to me. And by the way, I can leave this out because it's a public document. We should leave these out. So I note that we have made it through a good number of them. However, we still have 8 or so, maybe 9 that are
I thought there were
open.
20.
So, are you, I guess maybe this is a good time to talk about like how you're rolling through this. I get them and I post.
We eliminated 1, 2, 3 of them.
Okay,
So at least 5?
13, 14,
well,
15,
I
16.
guess my point is
There's
that.
only 17. So I gave out 12, and I eliminated 3, so that's 15. So I think one of them I had, trying to think which one I might have missed.
Well, I mean, we can certainly do this offline if you wish, but I guess my point is that I try to turn these around the same day. So if I get a complaint, it goes on the list and gets sent out to the committee pretty much the same day, or if it's a Friday, it goes out the next Monday.
Yeah.
So these, if you're, scratching them off the list or verifying them, that's cool that they're getting done. But, I've noticed a little bit of a gap between the receipt goes out to the committee and then ultimately gets tagged.
Well, we're only supposed to meet once a month, and so anything short of that, I don't know what to tell you. We're supposed to meet once a month, and I personally, I would love it if council didn't choose to eliminate the code enforcement officer, and then that person could make sure daily they went out and go and talk to people. But being what it is, we're a committee that meets once a month, and so.
May I?
No,
So, yes, we're a committee that meets once a month. However, in my experience in the last 2 years, that we did tags ongoing. We didn't just do them once a month. We had to do them every week.
Well, as, when we had our meeting with Sheriff Swaney last week, he also thought it was a good idea that we get the tags ready and officer come to these meetings and deliver those tags. And I was, and then he said he could directly work with the village administrator. It's another problem. We need to make sure we get a village administrator hired. He said he could work with the village administrator on problem areas. And that would be something I would expect the village administrator to fill the gaps between the meetings.
Well, I'm sort of not willing to sit on my hands. So if I can do something, I come to work every day, and so if I can do something, I will hand the tags off to the sheriff myself. So
That's
I
great.
will take them. So I will gladly do that.
It's great.
So
Yeah, I'm just uncomfortable with only following up once a month. And so my next question is, did you put a copy of the ordinance attached to the tag?
No. The ordinance number is up in the corner.
I understand.
It did not.
All right. So,
That's all that's required on this sheet is this. There's a phone number on there. This says at the bottom of the sheet, immediate action is required to avoid citation. So this, in essence, is the warning. There's no need to make another phone call, in my opinion. We're just being redundant. And so then, as Courtney suggested, obviously, we have to have like a 48-hour follow-up. So I'd be happy if any of you want to volunteer and do the 48-hour follow-up.
Yeah, I
I think
volunteered
Barry had
last
already
time.
volunteered for that.
Okay?
Yeah, and I'll check some of the houses
Well-
on this side of town.
Maybe you could divide it, because the ordinance will either be 24 or 48. You have to read the ordinance that's why I always,
You mean 17 or 48?
no, 24 or 48
24
hours.
hours.
Oh.
Or 48 hours. You could give the 24-hour to one and the 48-hour to the other to keep them straight. And if they aren't resolved, then what's our recourse?
Well, our recourse is like it's always been, unfortunately. If it would happen to be a vehicle in the street, we can have them towed by the sheriff's department. If it would happen to be yard trash, porch and yard is full of trash, then I would ask this committee, what is our recourse? Do we have citations of a dollar amount for that? If we do, then we issue them. After they get their warning, and then after there's been a 24 to 48-hour follow-up, they would get another tag, and then I would say it's time to issue a citation, a ticket.
Well, we have to follow what's in the ordinance.
Right.
and
Right,
not
whatever the
basically
ordinance
make things
says.
up. So,
I'm
in
not
the case of tall grass, for example, which is happening right now, you get a citation, it's not fixed. You get another one, it's not fixed. We come and mow it, and we will bill you.
Right, I understand
So-
that one.
Okay, so just taking some low-hanging fruit off the list, we're not on people for no good reason here. If you have residential garbage in your backyard piling up, this is not like it's debatable. And so some of these things literally need to be dealt with. Now, I sent over one which was marked urgent,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering whether that one, how long did it take to deal with that one?
Number 2,
Let me
urgent?
pull that up. Hold on.
that's the one I had marked urgent on your last,
That's the one I thought we were going to send the attorney letter, but I could have misunderstood.
Okay.
We did once.
Yeah, that one is like a combo health department
Always,
violation,
yes.
larger county agency violation, and then, of course, us. And so
I'm just saying, like, if we have this nuisance committee, we have to have, a punishment if they don't, we do for the grass cutting. But if we do not have a punishment for trash and they don't clean it up, and we send an attorney letter and they don't clean it up, I mean, we need to have a dollar amount figure of,
Well,
a ticket.
I'll have to pull, because I think we should start by looking into ordinances and understanding there's some penalty in there, and I'll take the blame for not knowing what all the penalties are across the various ordinances.
I thought we took dollar
But-
penalties off.
I don't think we did, because these are old ordinances, and so where I'm going with this is, I'm kind of done with it, and, as a person who regularly gets feedback from residents, I'm willing to share the love as well, and I think we need to sort of amp it up a bit. Some of this is just appalling on every level. Absolutely every level, and it approaches squalor.
Right. And with that said, also, and I know I mentioned this before, but we are going to reach out to a few where there's yard waste and things like that, and try to get them on the community cleanup day. So,
I have one more question. One of them that's pretty important, I won't read off the address, but I will show it to you.
just tell me what number it is. Is it?
It is, they didn't get tagged.
Yeah, they didn't get it. Yeah.
Wasn't sure why.
And
I know it's a
guess that
zoning
was-
issue
I guess
as
that was my
well.
point as well. I'm looking at least mayor's
Okay.
tracking list, which I do every week again.
Okay.
And
I can
there's
tell
a
you
number that
why.
are not on here.
Okay, I can tell you why. I went through that one today, and it looks as though they're having construction. They have new part of the outside of the building has it's not drywall, it's whatever you put up under the siding, has that up, has some new siding spots. I mean, the whole yard looks as though it's under construction. It doesn't look as though it's just a mess.
Well, remember that
Backyard is-
construction can't last 8 years.
Right.
Right, so.
But the backyard is a mess. It always has been. There's a zoning issue right there, right now with them. But we still, I thought we were still going to proceed with the tag to get it cleaned up. Because the backyard has all the clutter that it's always had.
Does it have a fence back there?
An illegal one.
Okay, well, see, I mean, those are just things,
Well, the
I don't know
the
that.
fence is being dealt with.
okay.
That's a zoning issue.
That's a separate track
Yeah.
on a separate group of
Right.
folks, and the fence is being dealt with.
Right,
And I know we talked about that one last month.
Yeah.
right, but I did go by it. You're definitely welcome to go by it again and take pictures and record what you want.
So Jacob, I know you have
Yeah.
done at least a few of those.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any pictures of anything that they've noticed that you might need to send to Becky?
I got a list from
I think I
Courtney.
wrote them all down on
Yeah,
paper and turned
I
them in.
I did, and I sent them out in January, but my point is that we need to be very careful about making sure the whole packet for a violation is, to Joyce, to your point, it's done. Signed, sealed, delivered, finished.
Yeah, well, I believe it is.
So can we go back and tag the ones that, the one we just talked about?
I mean, if you go look at it and you feel like you see violations, then go for
Okay,
it.
Barry, could you do that for me since I cannot get around
Yeah.
right now? I mean, I could have my
If it's the
husband do
one
it, but I'd
if
rather
it's the one
not.
I'm thinking about, that thing's been under construction
Yeah,
since.
like
It has been. I'll send you the address. That's fine.
Like, there's a reasonable time for these things. Like,
But there's also a way to do it in a neat way.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is not neat.
Thank
Have
you.
you, yes. Good. Okay, so what I'm hearing is in the next 24 hours, for some of those that have 24 hours, we will let Jacob or Barry,
I'll do the 24,
okay?
and then do you want to follow up with the 48?
yeah, I'll
can
do
the
48.
48s. And then what you guys should do
What's that?
then what you should do is tag him again.
You gotta follow the ordinance.
Yeah, we have
Yep.
to follow
So
the
the
ordinance.
ordinances
I'm
need to
not,
be pulled.
yeah, we'll pull that.
And
Yeah.
needs to
Be good to
followed.
know this is a new year, this is a good group of folks. They probably don't have the ordinances in front of them. We can pull those.
And that's why I would like to make a recommendation that further tags, future tags that go out, we put a copy of the ordinance behind the tag.
Yeah, I agree
And
with
that way they have all the information. Thank you.
Well, I agree with that because I've heard so many people say ignorance isn't the law, but a lot of people say, well, I didn't know that was the law.
Right.
But when they
So
get this,
well, I understand
they
that,
should.
but
Well,
This
living
way
in,
they can
living in squalor is not
Yeah,
your right in
well,
the village of Mount Sterling.
yeah.
So, yeah, I got you. But those are easily done. We have them at hand. It's no problem. And if anyone wants to see them, we'll leave copies out.
okay. It's, Okay.
So in 24 hours, I'll go around to these, and then do I report back to you? Or who do
I would say you make out new tags. I'll read the ordinance to make sure that's how it says. I believe that's how Jack explained it to me. And give them back to Jack, and then he would need to speak with them and tell them, this is your,
Yeah, just for the record,
Final.
we're talking two ordinances.
Right.
One of them is 2018-17, the other one is 2018-48.
Right.
So we're not talking, a long list of ordinances.
And they'll
Right.
all say if it's 24 or 48, I used to highlight all that stuff and staple a copy to the tag before I would submit them to Jack.
So then I'll go around tomorrow, and then I'll come and see Courtney for some tags. You have them? Okay. And then you'll follow up the
Yeah,
day after?
yeah.
so I think Jack picked them up around 3-ish today.
Okay.
So I would just wait until tomorrow evening, you
So
know.
give them till 3.
Okay.
I would say at least 4, just to make sure.
That's, and I'm sorry, Becky, I don't mean to pick this apart, but it's been the practice for as long as I've heard that we give them to Jack early, he gets them out early, and that way the clock starts then. It's very confusing to a resident to say, for us to say, we're gonna follow up in 24 or 48 hours, and the tag's dated one day and they don't get them till the next.
Well, that didn't happen, so not to pick on you, but what happened here is they were delivered up here to Town Hall at 10 a.m. this morning, and Jack had all day, and he chose not to do it until this afternoon, and that's his prerogative. The only thing left off you will see on these tags was the time, a.m. and p.m., so Jack was asked to mark that today when he delivered them. So that is that.
So then to be clear, then 4 o'clock tomorrow, I will do a tour. Then I will come and see you.
Yep.
Or do you want to just leave some more tags in the mailbox outside of your door?
We have a stack.
That way, in case she's
But
not
I do
here.
believe that the ordinance probably, so I would say come see me, or I can just print off the ordinance, because I think it's important that if it's not, does it automatically go to another tag? Or does it go to a fee? Does it go to?
I can
an
read them,
attorney
I mean,
letter?
I can bring them,
Yeah,
I can read them tonight and like send you guys a copy of what they exactly
Yeah.
say.
and, because each one of them will probably be different.
And there's
For
going to be
sure,
other ordinances
grass-
eventually.
Grass is definitely different.
Yes,
Definitely
we have no grass, we have no structures in this one. And, there's other ordinances that do pertain to nuisance, but these two are the only for these ones. And then, like I said, Courtney just gave me a list of 5 more. I'm happy, or I can pass these on to one of you two, and,
Yeah, if you have 5 more, then tomorrow when I do these, I'll do those.
okay. And then just, make sure you fill out the tag and get him to Jack the following morning. That'd be great. Just make sure you record everything you do. Write it down. Yep.
Pictures are important.
No problem. So 4 PM, make my rounds, get the tags from you, bring them completed back in the following day. So that will be, what day will that be?
10th.
The 10th. I'll bring them back in the AM and the 10th.
Thank you, Barry. Same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have anything else?
I do. I got a phone call. The woman was going to try to be here. She just called me and sent me a text as well. She has been complaining about one of these violations for months. Well, this year, she started, I think, back in March, so early March. Her first question is, why is it taking so long for us to respond? The second question is, when do we anticipate some of these things to be done?
What did you tell her?
That's not for me to tell her, that's for you to tell her.
Well, I guess my question is the house she's complaining about
It's on
this-
there.
Okay.
Well, then, there you go.
Well, that doesn't answer why it
Well,
took so long.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Well, according to all of you, some of these have been on these lists for years, so there.
No, they get cleaned up. They got cleaned up a couple of times last year.
Why not, I mean, I know some of these have been on here for a long, long time and have not been fully cleaned up. But, I mean, we only do what we can. We say some of them get partially cleaned up and then they go back, and some of them get entirely cleaned up and they go back. I mean, I don't know who you're talking about. You're talking in vague generalities, so I have no
Well, you don't want
clue.
names and addresses publicized, so I'm not going to say names and addresses until you give the okay for that.
Okay, well, again, just like any complaint in the village, that address and that complaint needs to be forwarded on to where Courtney gets it, or the mayor gets it, and then they will forward it on to me.
It's been forwarded.
Okay, well, it's been tagged too, so I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, if she has any other questions, can I just refer her to you?
That is fine.
Okay. Because I can't answer why it took 2 weeks.
Oh, my God. Okay, anybody else? Meeting's adjourned.